The authorities in Pakistan say they're trying to identify an attacker who set off a deadly explosion near a packed courthouse in Islamabad. At least 12 people were killed and 27 others were injured, with many in a serious condition. A statement allegedly from a splinter group of the Pakistani Taliban claimed the blast, although local journalists have told the BBC that a spokesperson from the central Pakistan Taliban has distanced the group from the explosion. Well, across the latest developments is our correspondent in Islamabad, Caroline Davies. She and her team have been down to the blast site and she told us earlier what she saw there.
Well, we do know now today that the security here in Islamabad has increased after what the authorities say was a suicide bombing attack. Now, we went down to the scene yesterday. Islamabad is not a very big city, and we were able to get relatively close, although the area had already been cordoned off by police. But through the partitions, we could still see sight of a burnt-out vehicle. Now, according to the authorities, they have now said that this was the work of one attacker, that the attacker used about 8 kilograms, at least that amount of explosives, and that there were ball bearings as well in that explosives. Now, according to the Interior Minister here in Pakistan, Mohsin Naqvi, he also visited the site and told local journalists that the attacker had been trying to find a way to get inside the court complex, but had been unable to do so, and instead had hung around the entrance until a police vehicle came and then targeted that police vehicle. Now, at the moment, we have not been given more information about the identity of that attacker. We've also heard from the police here. They say that they are trying to find out who the attacker's handlers were. But despite the fact that we don't yet have a name for the attacker or identification so far from the authorities of those handlers, there's already been discussion about both sort of apportioning blame and suggesting who might be responsible. We heard yesterday from Pakistan's Prime Minister, who was putting the blame on what he referred to as Indian proxies operating on Afghan soil. Now, this is something that has been presented, but so far we've not been given any further evidence to back that up. India spokesperson did make a statement about this, calling Pakistan's leadership delirious and rejecting this claim entirely. Afghanistan, the Afghan Taliban government, they have previously and repeatedly denied accusations that have been levied at them by the Pakistan government that they harbour militant groups. But I think this is a real moment of tension here. We have seen relations with Pakistan and Afghanistan deteriorate rapidly in the last few months, and of course, historically, tensions between Pakistan and India have never been more so than this May, when we saw a conflict between the two countries. So a real moment of tension here, and only ramped up by this sort of very strong language that we're hearing from Pakistan's political leadership.
Well, it has been quite some time since we've seen an incident like this in the Pakistani capital.
Yes, there has been an increase in militancy around Pakistan, but it is unusual to see something like this happen here in the capital. The last time there was a suicide bombing, that was in December of 2022, so nearly 3 years ago. And in that particular instance, that was relatively much smaller than this particular incident. So that is in itself quite shocking that that has happened inside the capital's perimeters. And I say the security has increased here. This also took place when there are international cricket matches that are ongoing in and around Islamabad, that there are international conferences happening here. And so there's an awful lot of trying to sort of reassure the public and reassure visitors that are in Islamabad at the moment that this situation is under control.
Caroline Davies.